Evening everybody, and welcome back for another video. We start today's roundup news on Bitcoin cracking $10 million to be a new gold standard, according to an asset management firm, I should add. So there's a asset management firm called Lucid Investment Strategies. So what do they say? Basically, against the bearish backdrop, asset management firm Lucid Investment Strategies is breaking away from the pack to make a bull call that sounds like a throwback to 2017. The Bitcoin price could one day reach $10 million, become the new gold standard, and solve world debt crisis. According to Lucid, the ratio of global debt to wealth is spiraled out of control. Yep, that's very much true at the moment, creating a grotesque imbalance of wealth inequality. As the end of 2018, total world debt was an estimated $247 trillion, compared to $317 trillion in total world wealth. Wow. But while wealth continues to outpace debt, the gap is quickly closing. Over the past 20 years, debt has ballooned by 394%, while wealth has climbed just 133%. It's gaining. Writing the new report, Lucid claims that the status quo is not sustainable and that the world economy must eventually locate a solution to address the debt crisis. The 5 most likely strategies, the firm says, are the adoption of gold standard, the creation of a new commodity currency basket, economic growth, outright default on sovereign debt, or massive investment into Bitcoin. While perhaps not the likeliest outcome, the firm maintains that Bitcoin is the best alternative since it would provide a permanent fix to debt crisis while limiting the damage that will inevitably accompany widespread economic upheaval. From the report, which was drafted by Lucid President of Chief Investment Officer Dean Tyler Jenks and Executive President Leah Wald, is this mass Bitcoin adoption feasible? Probably not, but we believe it is possible, and we believe it offers the greatest benefits that the least collateral damage to the least number of individuals, corporations, institutions, and countries. Most importantly, it provides a permanent fix, a quality that one of the other solutions provide. So, why 10 million? At the level, Bitcoin will provide a sufficient reserve to alleviate the world debt burden. Bitcoin would be worth $180 trillion and $210 trillion, depending on the price reached. Assuming that world debt has reached $500 trillion by the time. Remember, it has grown by 394%. Okay, so I think it goes on to talk about how the price could climb 10 million. Let's just take the world debt and how do we alleviate this issue? Can Bitcoin hit 10 million? Yes, it can hit 10 million. Nothing is out of the realms of possibility. How long will it take to hit $10 million? That's the question. I think it's going to take 20, 30, 40 years possibly to hit 10 million. Our good friend John McAfee believes it's going to hit $1 million by 2020 or the end of 2020. Let's give him another 11 months to that. If not, he'll cut off his manhood. For everybody to, in a way, come out of debt, I don't know how the economy would work with that. You have to think on a sort of a bilateral playing field where we have rich, we have middle, and we have lower class or poor. We need almost, you feel like you need one or the other. I don't know whether in a utopian society that you can have everybody, if everybody was rich, then it means that prices for items almost you feel like would need to increase in a way to keep a gap between what some people can afford and some people cannot. And let's say, for example, everybody was given, I don't know, 0.01 of a Bitcoin at $10 million. That would give everybody $100,000, and obviously 0.1 would be $1 million. If everybody in the world was given $100,000, let's say that's possible, and that would get, let's just say that gets rid of world debt. So that annihilates this $247 trillion worth of debt. And that means that those people wouldn't necessarily need to borrow again, which means credit cards wouldn't really need to exist anymore. So that sort of credit function would disappear, and those banks would sort of find it hard to make interest. And that's what makes the world go around, is credit, right? Credit and interest. If that happens, surely they'll have to think of another way to draw money from people, and people who are susceptible to wanting to take out credit because they're trying to achieve something they don't necessarily have money for. Would that mean that house prices would need to go up because, or mortgage interest rates would need to go up? It's a very utopian world that Bitcoin was trying to solve. It wants like a world where everybody's equal and fair and has a universal credit or a universal income. And they've tried this in the UK, and they tried this in other countries, I believe, where everybody's given, I don't know, $6,000 a year, and that's thinking, oh, that's what you would cost on food, and everybody gets that. It's an idealistic world, I believe. Reality is you're always going to have the rich, and you're always going to have debt. If we look from the angle of, can we make Bitcoin the gold standard? Yes, I've spoken about this many a times now. That's where I think Bitcoin's real potential is, in terms of its ability to market itself as a gold alternative. Definitely. Can it get 10 million? Of course it can. And obviously, if it's got a market value of $180 trillion, then it has. It's again not out of the realms of possibility that something can reach that high, but it means that everybody in the whole world will need to see Bitcoin as a gold and not as a possible gold or a silver or an alternative. It will need to replace gold. Can we solve world debt with Bitcoin? Again, it's not out of the realms of possibility. I don't think it's probable. If you think mathematically, how much debt there is, how many people know about Bitcoin at the moment, how many people would know about Bitcoin in 10 years' time or 5 years' time? Can it reach that far? Has it got that? Has it got that reach to reach those countries which don't know about it? It's a difficult one. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know if this article is dreaming a bit. Unfortunately, I don't want people to. I would love people not to be in debt, or the ones who are struggling to get out of debt and have money and have a good life and not be surviving. But this doesn't take into account people's bad decisions. And I was listening to a YouTuber today or yesterday about making the right decisions financially. If you give everybody and get rid of debt, people still make bad decisions. They're still going to somehow get themselves back into debt. Sometimes we overreach with what we could think we can achieve or think we can afford, and I'm guilty of that. And it's something you need to learn to stop doing. And some people can and some people cannot. So it won't solve world debt long term. Temporarily, yes. But unfortunately, humans are humans. And humans sometimes want things they cannot have or cannot have necessarily. So credit will never disappear. Debt will never disappear. Debt will always be there because people are greedy. Humans are greedy. We always want something that we cannot have at that point. That's why we have 0% on cars, we have 0% on watches, we have 0% on clothes purchases, or you want to buy a new TV, and if it's over $1,000 or they offer interest free, or you want to buy a washing machine, top range, or a coffee machine, it's interest free. So it will serve it. Gold Bitcoin will solve world debt for a short time, and then we will go back to where we were again, and then we would have lost our chance to be rid of debt. And secondly, the banks won't allow it. So I don't want to go on too long about this, but it's just a very interesting article. It really makes your mind think. I think it's a provocative piece if you think about it in the world of how debt would work, or how the world would work without debt. So yeah, I mean, let's just see if we can even get to 100,000 first before we jump to a million and then 10 million. 100,000, yes. I think that worked out to be 1.7 trillion. Yeah, I think it's about right. 1.7 trillion. So yes, let's see. And let's move on. So a complete U-turn from the previous article, and this one's about the bear market. Why crypto is en route for the longest bear market in history. No, I mean, that bear looks really cute, but I'm not liking that. Okay, by CCN. No, I don't worry about that. The crypto market is en route to experience the longest bear market in its 10-year history. As Ran Nguyen, the host of CNBC's Crypto Trader, said, if the latest bear market lasts for another month, it will surpass the 420-day correction the crypto market experienced in 2014-2015. And guess how that ended, guys? We were up again then. So never be worried. If this bear market continues for another month, it will be the longest bear market in crypto history. Why do they now mention that twice? 420 days versus the 390 we are at the moment. So not too long. Yeah, that's 30 days. What is triggering the crypto bear market to extend across 2019? In 2017, the cryptocurrency sector experienced its greatest ever bull market. The Bitcoin price surged from less than 1,000 to 20,000 at its peak, while major crypto assets like Ethereum and XRP, I don't know whether Ripple, recorded 200-fold gains within a 12-month period. Prior to December 2017, when the cryptocurrency market achieved an all-time high valuation at over 800 billion, Ethereum co-creator Vitalik Buterin suggested that the valuation of the market is not sustainable due to lack of progress made by both base blockchain protocols and decentralized applications (dApps). I'll come back to that point. Very good point by V. Buterin. At the time, Buterin said, so the total crypto coin market cap is just hit $500 billion today. But what have we earned it? Have we earned it? How many unbanked people have we banked? How many dApps have we created, and how has that been sustainable? So again, hype. It's all about hype. Okay. So I continue to read further down. So the recent crypto bear market is likely to be going the longest correction in its history because of the level of awareness that the asset gained at its peak in 2017. Many new retail investors and individual investors entered the cryptocurrency sector at its highest point and recorded substantial losses in this period. Should have gone in earlier, guys. Vinny Lingham, a venture capital investor and CEO of Civic, said that it would be a long time for investors to psychologically recover from the bear market, which may contribute the time frame of the correction throughout 2019. In November 2018, Lingham stated, I think it stays in its range between $3,000 to $5,000 for at least 3 to 6 months, and I don't think we will break out to support level of 3,000 just yet. I think there is a lot of buying in a short term around this mark. If we don't get out of the crypto bear market cycle in the next 3 months, the 3,000 level could go. So, I mean, I want to go back to this point about what Vitalik was saying and flip it on its head. Yeah, we hit $500 billion, and have we earned it? At that point, no, we didn't. How many unbanked people have we banked? Not many. How many dApps have we created? And that point is very clear. So we got to $500 billion, and obviously we got to 800 billion. Well, by not doing much really, by just promises, ICOs, some scams in there, and a little penetration of actual systems and improvements. And 2018 was a slow warm up into that, and 2019 2020 will be our sort of run at the market of, hey, we can solve this, we can do that, and we can do this. So let's take, for example, XRP and Bitcoin with Lightning Network and Ethereum and with smart contracts, and even things like Kin with dApps built on it. Tron, you can, again, more dApps. We're fixated on the price and not focusing on the development, and that's why I only will tend to disagree with the article whether we stay as a 2019 bear market. The only way it's going to remain as a bear market is if nothing changes, investors pushing the price down to get more investments. But if you look at purely on development, there's no way, in my opinion, we're going to see a bear market this year in terms of a long bear market. Yeah, we're going to be a bear market maybe for another couple of months, depending on, again, the shutdown and what happens with BACT and anything else. Of course, we expect the ETF to be declined. However, people are still expecting that to be approved, so you're going to see a bit of a drop in the market at that point. But once we get to know where we are with that, we can move on. We can move past that. BACT is going to happen at some point this year. And whether it's going to be now February or March or April, it's going to happen, which means that we may wait until the second half of the year before we can break out of the bear trap or the bear traps. So, I mean, again, a good article, but some very key points in here in terms of where we got to in 2017 by doing very little and what we're doing at the moment. And if it's correct with the Ripple and its 200 partnerships and a lot of banks and a lot of countries buying Bitcoin, and notably Grayscale or Russia or ICE, and billionaires investing into that project, then we can't keep looking at the price of its low value at the moment of $3,500, $3,600. We need to look at the fact that we're doing a lot more than we did 2 years ago, or a year and a bit ago, but our prices are substantially lower. So let's not focus on that just now. Let's, in my opinion, let's all just keep investing, and don't look at your crypto balance every day like other people do. Just, it will go up. In my opinion, it will go up, and we're going to hit new record highs. You only need to look at the maths behind it and look at the psychology behind it of when are people going to re-enter the market. Are they going to re-enter at $5,000? Of course, people invested money at $20,000 into Bitcoin. I watched a video of a YouTuber who invested $100,000 and got 5 Bitcoin at 20,000. How do you think that person feels now psychologically? But if he uses his head and doesn't leave the market with $15,000, $16,000, then that person or that individual could look to make bigger gains. If he sold at $15,000 and Bitcoin reached $100,000 each, he would be kicking himself because he would have missed out on $400,000. So we need a bit of strong hands. We need the people, the willingness to remain in the market, and we need the willingness of other people to promote the market and get other people into the market. So a lot of psychology behind this, but let's not hope for a bear market this year. So moving into the Middle East and more notably around the UAE, Saudi area. Don't spend too much time on this, but it's quite a good article. UAE and Saudi Arabia, 2 countries that have the world's second largest combined sovereign wealth fund, have launched their own pilot cryptocurrency. According to UAE's official news agency, Emirates News Agency, the Saudi Emirati cryptocurrency is one of the 7 initiatives that will be implemented in both countries. Formed in 2016, the Executive Committee of the Saudi Emirati Coordination Council met for the first time in UAE on January 19th. So Saturday, 2 days ago. The council announced that the new cryptocurrency will be used for cross-border payments between central banks and local banks. The cryptocurrency will serve as an experiment to understand blockchain technology and allow seamless transactions across two countries. An excerpt from the announcement stops short of revealing the blockchain developed, explaining the virtual currency relies on the use of distributed database between the central banks and the participating banks from both sides. It seeks to safeguard customer interests, set technology standards, and assess cybersecurity risks. The project will also determine the impact of central currency on monetary policies. So it looks like they're probably going to be creating their own crypto. I don't think that they are using anything with XRP, but they do go on to say the country has already welcomed crypto exchange Huobi and plans to launch cross-border payments service in partnership with RippleNet in 2019. So they're obviously talking about Saudi and the fact that it's become Sharia compliant. So one of the things in the Muslim world is they were a bit reluctant to talk about Bitcoin necessarily or cryptos because they didn't think it had an intrinsic value. But you need to really look at, if you're trading in US dollar in those countries, there's no intrinsic value. There's no link of the US dollar to gold anymore. It's just weighted against paper and the promise that the government paid you. So then they obviously allowed cryptocurrencies into the country, and this is really good to see that countries are understanding what benefits cryptocurrencies provides. Now, obviously, this is an element possibly they will be using their own token, but we know countries are looking at RippleNet or XRapid as an option to use for cross-border payments, and we've read articles on this channel before about that. So very good to see. Interesting how this develops, and interesting how UAE and Saudi Arabia as a whole promote this, because obviously very rich countries, and we know that Ripple are trying to get in there with Dubai and set up base there. We know that these countries aren't too favourable with SWIFT and sort of their levies that they charge. Hopefully the tests they prove are good, but hopefully at some point Ripple can provide something quicker and take the sort of burden off these countries, or having these countries having to set up new teams or new departments just for cryptocurrency or payments. So yeah, interesting article, but let's see what happens today. So I'll end today with the market, and so we're sitting at $3,580, pretty much similar to what we were yesterday. It's been very much sideways movement, so at least we haven't had further losses today. The market was down this morning. It obviously looks like it's recovered a little bit. If we go into the charts and have a quick look at it over the last day, we've got Sunday, Monday was up. We had a drop to 3,500, and then it seems to be there's a little bit of a resistance now forming. How long will that last? I don't know. And it's obviously just moving quite sideways. Bitcoin dominance has gone down like a 0.01. I think XRP's up by very little, whether that might turn red at some point. What's the biggest gainers? Mixim, Factum, again seems to go up massively and then lose massive. Nothing really there. Tron's up a bit. And what's the biggest losses? Augur. So again, we made a lot of gains, and then is making a small loss there. So we'll end the article on not the best of news, but 5 billion wiped off the crypto and Bitcoin market. Could 3,500 spell trouble? So again, just going over the fact that it did drop the valuation from 124 billion to 119, so we lost $5 billion, and it's kind of just what I spoke about yesterday. There isn't that much news going on. There's a lot of good news coming up, but again, we need some substantial news in the market. A lot of people doing sell orders, and obviously the sells are out doing the buys. we just need people to stay strong in the market and keep looking to see where the gains are. And if you look at the market, there's a lot of, again, in my opinion, and not financial advice, there's a lot of gains to be had. And if you've got $3,500 Bitcoin, even a 0.1 is what, $358. A good time to buy, I think, in my opinion. But please, obviously, do your own research. Look at the project you're investing in. Ripple's down a little bit, but some very, very good buys coming out of this market. Projects that I can see on here that I've spoken about. EOS is $2.35. I mean, if the fact that it reached $22 high, even I feel like I should buy some more EOS. Very good buy. Anyway, what do you guys think of the market? I'll leave it there. Where do you think we're headed? Are we headed up or are we headed down in the short term? Are we going to be in a bear market for 2019? And can Bitcoin hit $10 million? Let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.